Rogers trying to scoot in there alone. It pinballs to the crease. Score!
Let's get it.
Oh my God! Here we go.
You're listening to the Pod Street Bullies podcast with your hosts, Derek.
How you gonna get it, Bobby?
John. Matt Casey.
Unnecessary, but totally necessary.
And Cody.
What's not to love?
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the first ever live broadcast of the Pod Street Bully. My name is Derek.
And I'm John. What's going on, everybody?
And we are joined, as always, by the two Matts. We have Matt Casey. How's it going, man?
Good. How's it going, guys? Great to see everybody. And quick question for you. How come on the one in their intro that's necessary, but not necessary, but totally necessary? Is that my tagline?
I ran out of clips. I ran out of fun sound clips to use, so I was like, you know what?
It took me 6 months to realize it, but I realized I really understand.
Sorry, Hoagie didn't have one until Cam York made a clip or whatever it was.
Yeah, right.
I was so
John and
excited
I's
for
were
that.
ready made. Speaking of Hoagie, we do have Hoagie here. What's going on, dude?
Oh, another great day for a podcast. What's going on, everybody?
Cheese balls.
Lovely.
Another great day for a podcast.
Great day for podding, right, guys? So Matt Casey wanted to give us our reaction here of this video. You said you wanted to go in cold. What do you think, man?
I love it. I love the fact you worked the primo overtime goal in there. That defined my high school career right there. So it looked great, well done, and it's good to see the words really come to life in a way that sparks my ferocity.
Could have done without the last 3 seconds there. But,
Unnecessary, but totally necessary.
Totally
Thanks, guys.
That's all right. I
It's
hope
like the
everybody.
mantra.
I hope everybody enjoyed the video because the Flyers are going to send us a nice letter in the mail for copyright infringement or whatever.
But just right back in our defense, none of those highlights are from this year. So
Fair enough.
It's true. And in our defense, they're playing like crap. So, whatever.
don't you have other things to worry about?
Exactly. Like maybe fix the power play. I don't know. Like get Tarian on the phone. But no, speaking of bad play, yes, we do have an entire week of basically bad play to cover. We've got what we're looking forward to here this up week with 4 games on the slate and some talking points to get through. So let's start where it all began this past week. It's been a long week in terms of hockey, guys. Like, I don't even know where to start. I guess, John, where do you want to kick this off?
I mean, I think that this week provided more questions than answers as far as this team once again. I mean, you know me, I don't really like to dive into the specific games, but I don't know who we are offensively at all. And I know that we're going to spend a lot more time in this. I'm really starting to question coaching. I'm not going to go as far as like, oh, you got to fire AV or anything like that. But I'm really starting to wonder what the coaching scheme is and what even freaking happens in practice when it comes to this offense, because I'm baffled by it. So I really left this string of games just wondering what exactly is going on with this team and kind of uncertain about the future.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I don't know if I could have said it any better myself. So, Matt Casey, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say this. I'm not going to go doom and gloom yet because I look back at the 2019-2020 season, and we weren't a great team going into, basically until late January or mid-January, whatever after that holiday break was. So I know there's ebbs and flows to the season, but I can't help but say it, man. Like this week, and then last night especially, and then looking ahead at our schedule, like the next 3 weeks, it's like has me going back to a dark place, which is like March 1st, 2021.
I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there.
I'm bringing us back there. I don't think it's the same team, but like that is the gut feeling I'm getting. And if the Flyers can bounce out of that against back-to-backs in Florida, hey, go for it.
No, good way to look at it. What do you think, Hoagie?
It's a horrible way to look at it, by the way. It's really
Well, I think it's a reasonable way to look at it. I
There
should
you
say
go.
reasonable, maybe
Reasonable's-
not good.
Yeah, reasonable is
But-
the better word for that. I mean, in terms of offensive identity, we have none, especially coming from this week. Yeah, we potted some goals, but it seemed like we were playing on the back of our heels every single game, especially against a terrifying Tampa Bay team that is just going to suffocate you in your own defensive zone. You're not going to be able to score goals by trying to stick it back to them.
Yeah, completely agree. I think the one positive thing that we could probably take from this week, and I mean, there's not much. If you want to even go to like Carter Hart's play, I think Carter Hart played really well. 939 save percentage between the 2 games that he played. Claude Giroux this week had 4 points in 3 games, 2 goals, 2 assists. Really was the only reason aside from Hart that they stayed in that Tampa game. So encouraging. It's nice to see that. But then you get to the Boston game, and it's just downhill from there. Team just looked lackluster. Like they got a power play goal. Like, oh, awesome. 1 power play goal in their last 3 games and 2 in their last like 7 or 8. So, there's that. Penalty kills looking decent. I'm not going to say it looks fantastic, but it's been worse. Absolutely has been worse.
They only let up 1 penalty kill this week out of like 12 or something like that.
I think they call that letting up a power play goal.
I lost the words there. Screw you, John.
Sorry, I know, man. You're looking like you just came
man.
back from Fan Fest anyway, Hoagie.
I
He's
did,
like, we're
that's
going to
why.
be live. We're going to be live. I've got
I'm
to show them I'm
excited.
a real Flyer fan.
Hey, man.
handing out flyers at Xfinity Live or what?
I may have made the drive back.
Yeah. I mean, it was a good start to the week, at least, beating Calgary, although it took overtime, sure. I think the Tampa game kind of anticipated it. We saw, a good Tampa team, a team that's won 2 Stanley Cups in a row now.
That Claude Giroux goal.
I love that man.
Boy.
Love that man.
It was beautiful. Beautiful.
Well,
I mean,
it
the
was.
best highlight of the week.
Oh, for
Also
sure.
known as highlight of the week.
Highlight,
I mean,
yeah.
were
off
there
the
any
week.
other highlights of the week that we could really throw into the discussion here?
Right.
First and foremost, but the Boston game was just a big letdown. Losing 5-2. Hoagie brought it up in our group chat earlier this week. Those goals that happen right at the beginning of the period that just break you. We saw it happen,
and at the end of the period too.
and at the end of the period, like just those back-breaking goals that you're like, that didn't need to happen right then. Like, why couldn't they have just held them? Anyways, we're starting to see again. We wanted to touch on power play issues because this is just a recurring trend. We're seeing now AV take the blame essentially for the power play, saying, "Oh, it's on me," yada yada yada. And I think this is part of a pretty decent discussion here because, I mean, is he just being, good coach, sticking up for his coaches, saying, "Oh, it falls on me," or, I mean, is it? I'm just going to go to you, Matt Casey. What are your thoughts on this?
On the power play specifically, I think it's a combination of things. Number one, it's just confidence. I just think you can see it in the way that they just even enter the zone. There's no confidence. They are not confident that if you knock a backhand blind pass across the boards, the defenseman's going to be there. Like they just don't have it set up yet. Part of that has to do with them switching around the power play and the personnel in there. But it's like we're not dealing with a bunch of like 20, 21-year-old rookies. Like
Right.
we're dealing with a very established veteran team at this point, even much more so than last year. The other thing I will say, just I was just comparing and contrasting. Boston arguably has one of, if not, the top power plays or one of in the league. And just looking at what they do, even their second unit, it's not only moving the puck, but it's moving their feet and moving the angles that they go through. And as I look at our power play, it's a lot of standing still and moving the puck. So I think there's it almost makes it like one dimensional, like in football, if you only had a run game and not a pass game or vice versa. Like that is what I feel like our power play is they're just moving the puck and hoping that quick passing can defeat the lack of manpower on the other team versus also adding in that other element. So overall, really frustrating. I guess it's a positive Derek Brassard got one. I'd rather that than not, but it's concerning.
Yes, we can't let out the fact that there were 4 goals in the Boston game scored by guys named Derek. Just wanted to mention that one more time.
None of them spelled your way.
For the record, they
Spell
all
it the
sound
right
the same.
way.
So who gives a damn? But no, I mean, great points. Again, can't argue with any of them. Hoagie, what do you think, man?
There's no identity to our power play. I think we need to. I'm getting tired of the umbrella is what they kind of like to play it as. Defenseman at the top, two wingers on the side, and then someone trying to get that in the slot area and in front of the net. But I mean, it's not working. We need to reconfigure it, redo something. It's bad, and a lot of it is coming down to AV's shouldering the blame. But we see pictures of Therrien with the guys running the power play during practice. So who is actually to blame? Is it AV or is it Therrien? Just seeing those pictures, I'm blaming Therrien. Is AV the one in charge of probably, putting the units together and wanting certain guys with certain guys? Probably. But Terrian's definitely the one that's running the entire thing. It's his scheme and it's not working. So he needs to fix it, or he's gotta see the door.
I'll say this, Hoagie, is that I agree with you. And I think every Flyers fan out there is like, oh, Terrian's not doing his job. If AV goes up there and it's like, yeah, my assistant coach isn't cutting it, like he's just like, it's just not going to happen just from a coaching standpoint. Even if they are going to let him go, they're going to be like, oh, we parted on great terms. It's like, no, you didn't.
Yeah, it's on
because we're 28 on the power play. That's why.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, John.
Well, I mean, I think, listen, I'd be all for shaking things up in Cannon, Therrien. But also I struggle with this idea that it's the coach's fault when I just don't see anybody willing to pull the trigger. And now what you're seeing on the power play, whenever we can enter the zone cleanly, which is, who knows, but
I've never been able to do that.
Whenever we can finally get things going, you see like crisp puck movement around the perimeter as if the other teams have scouted it and just been like, listen, they can do this all day long, but no one's going to shoot. So just play it tight. And on the off chance that someone feels like they're going to shoot, we'll be ready. And I mean, and you see it constantly, right? It's like every time someone gets the puck in a position where they could let off a decent shot, you can see them second guessing themselves. And I really don't know how the coach is the one who fixes that. I mean, the scheme isn't working. I get that. But at the same time, somebody's got to step up and start pulling the trigger and stop hesitating. Right now, they just look like a bunch of scared people afraid to fail on the power play.
Right.
You know what they need to do to fix this, honestly? They need to put JVR on the top unit, park him in front of the net, put Atkinson and Farabee, and then honestly, I'd argue Giroux or Couturier, one of the two. I'd probably put Giroux up there because you'll have 2 guys that can shoot, a playmaker that could set them up, and a guy that can screen in the front. And then for defensemen, Provorov, take a seat. I don't want to see Provorov anywhere near the first power play unit. I want to see Yandel. I'd rather see Ristolainen at this point. I think either of those two are great options. If Ellis is healthy, I think he's our best option. But that's another question mark that we'll get into here in a little bit. But as far as it goes with the AV taking the blame, of course he's going to take the blame. He's not going to sit up on the podium and say, yeah, like Terrian's dropping the ball. He's not doing what he needs to be doing, because then you're essentially throwing him under the bus. But we all know, we can read in between the lines. We know that this is Terrian's power play unit. There needs to be something done about this. I could lay it out there for you and put this guy there, that guy there. I'm not the power play coach, and it's probably good that I'm not. This team would be much worse off. But
so here's my question. Here's my question. Say Therrien gets canned, right?
Mm-hmm.
What happens next that fixes this power play?
Another coach comes up with a different system.
But who, though? I mean, is it somebody from Lehigh Valley you're promoting? Or are you telling Mike, yo, to come on and take over the power play? Like
you're bringing back the mastermind of Ian Lapierre. Come on now.
Jesus Christ. I feel like this is a move that they should have done in the offseason, right? It just would make more sense. And I don't know if this is common. Do do specialty, assistant coaches typically get fired mid-season and there's a drastic change? I really couldn't tell you. But again, I think this is more of a personnel issue, and not that he's even deploying the wrong players. It's just they're not doing what it takes to execute.
Mm-hmm. I mean, what else are you going to do? Are you going to fire AV because the power play's not working? Like, that's my thing. Is
I just don't
change.
I'm just skeptical on firing anybody is going to change what needs to be changed.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like the college football coaching carousel where it's like, oh,
right.
Dan Mullen is out. Like Florida's gonna all of a sudden come back next year. Like, no, it's not that kind of like Monday morning headline.
Right.
Like, I also think that like you're right. It's a systems thing that Terrian's putting in, and he should shoulder the blame on it. But ultimately, you're right. It's the players who need to execute this. And I think at some point you need to say, it's like, who are the two guys who are like made for the power play? And it's JVR and it's Yandel. If they don't thrive on the power play and on the number one power play, what are they even doing here? Like, Yandel makes funny videos with Hayes. Like, but like, what do we really want them for? And so if they're not cutting it on there, I think that's a larger personnel solution, which we'll get into later from an offensive standpoint.
Right.
But we don't have the guys for the system. That's the thing. And I think that when you look at it's like the chicken or the egg. What came first? Like, are you going to acquiesce to the players or are you going to acquiesce to the coach? Because in my opinion, I think it's easier to just say, okay, see a Terrian, bring somebody in that, might be able to work with the players and the personnel that we have. Because right now it feels like we're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole and it's not working. So bringing in a guy, again, it's risky. It's obviously risky because you need to bring in the right guy. But that's why the front office does what the front office does, and they can figure it out.
I just watched Elf for the first time this season and just reminded me, it's like, we got an idea. We bring in Miles Finch.
Oh, it's too early for Christmas movies. Damn it, Casey. Yeah, I mean, again, I feel like this is not going to be the last time, far from the last time that we discussed this, because if nothing changes, it's going to be a long season when it comes to the man advantage.
And to kind of segue, right? I mean, it'd be one thing if it was just the power play, but the entire offense sucks.
Yep.
Yeah, it's bad. It is bad. Like, we're not getting the goals. Perfect segue. I mean, we look at this past week and the games that they played in, 2 goals against Boston, great. 3 goals against Tampa. That's 5, 6, 7 goals in 3 games. Mm-hmm. Okay. Backtrack to last week. Like, we're averaging maybe 2 goals a game, like around 2 goals a game, I'd say. Yeah. That's not going to cut it. And we're getting, aside from Martin Jones's last 2 games, we're getting stellar goaltending out of Carter at the very least, but we're not getting the offensive support. And I don't even know where to go with this at this point. Like, it sounds pretty simple. Like, we just need offensive support, but like, where's that coming from? Like, John, you take this away.
I mean, I honestly, if I can pass this on to somebody else, I actually think Hoagie would be a good one to start this off, because Hoagie had a lot to say, and I typically don't ever compliment this moron. But Hoagie, I want you to start this one off, buddy.
So John didn't come prepared. That's what
that's what I'm doing. I'm better at commenting at what other people say than actually coming up with original thought.
They don't call him the best color guy in the business for nothing.
Yeah. Butch was right.
Never said he wasn't.
No, boy. Well, I appreciate that, John, for finally complimenting me.
Shut up, Hoagie.
Thanks. No, I mean, yeah, this offense is abysmal. It's bad. We don't have an identity. It's set up on fast skating and trick plays, and you're not going to win games like that. I think it was against the Tampa game where they won the faceoff in the second period or third period, and they just shot the puck into the zone and was hoping someone would get down there and grab the puck to try to make the shot on. I think it was connecting that actually got the puck and made the shot. But like, you're not going to win games by making those types of plays, and it's kind of infuriating because we have offensive talent, but they're not producing what we thought they would be producing. We have Claude Giroux, the 33-year-old captain, who's shouldered this team for more than a decade with 16 points, with 7 goals, 9 assists. that just boggles my mind. I think he's got like the fountain of youth in that apartment that he has in Philadelphia. He's playing out of his mind. But I mean, we need to see other people stand up. I mean, we brought in Cam Atkinson to score goals, and he just fizzled out after the first like 5 games. Who else wants to, play here? Like, come on, guys, figure it out. And I mean, we're also, like I said earlier, we're on the heels, and we like to turn the play off of a good defensive play, or steal the puck at the blue line and go the other way when we have the other team deep in their offensive zone. That's not going to happen every time, especially against a team like Tampa or Boston, where they're just going to suffocate you down there. When you have the perfection line, or if you have Stamkos and whoever else in Tampa Bay, they're just going to suffocate you down there, and you're going to be out there for a minute and a half to 2 minutes and not being able to get fresh legs out.
Right. I mean, and to kind of piggyback off that, just kind of 2 things. First of all, Casey's laughing at me, and I don't like it very much. Anyway, it kind of reminds me of kind of to go back to the football talk. Like Casey said, it's like an offense that only throws Hail Marys to the same wide receiver.
Right.
Over and over and over again. It's going to work every once in a while because you have a really incredible wide receiver who's catching those passes. But 99% of the time, it's not going to work. And I would have to imagine that the Flyers offense is just way too easy to scout and way too easy to, combat. And that's no good. I mean, we are not a team that has been able to sustain any sort of offense. And that scares me, because as good as Carter Hart has been, I am not ready to lay the entire team's future on the goaltender. I'm not ready to Henrik Lundqvist it.
Right.
And that kind of seems like what we're coming up against, which is just, you need the goalie to stand on his head in order to even be in the game.
I love that you turned Henrik Lundqvist into a verb.
You're welcome.
Very creative.
Thank you.
The dictionary of John Gove. Okay, Matt Casey, you've been chomping at the bit here, it looks like.
I'm ready to go. I'm going to disagree a little bit. So I think
that rarely happens.
You're right. I think we all have a little bit of a goldfish memory. Yeah, I've been watching Ted Lasso, so I'm taking that one from him. But so I think last night our offense looked abysmal, and I think Hoagie, you have a valid point in saying that our offensive identity right now is to clog up the neutral zone really, really well, so teams can't really gain speed and break through, and then we counterattack that way. That's fine, but it doesn't give you like the established offensive like cycling identity in there. And even when we do get an established cycle in there, like we're getting subpar chances off of that. So you're still like, ultimately you're getting a goalie to freeze the puck. Now, with that said, I think in Calgary and even in parts of the Tampa Bay game, I do think our offense looked pretty damn good. And the offense in Calgary, I thought looked actually really good. And so I think it's there. My issue is that it comes in one period it's like one period, 1 out of every 6 periods or something like that, that we end up getting that. And so I think that there's something there. It's just not sustainable right now.
And we're not scoring.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, we're not going to win a bunch of games. It's like the New York Islanders approach, which they have perfected until the Stanley Cup. Until the Eastern Conference Final. But I just don't see, and Derek, I'm sorry, because I know that you have stuff to say here. I just don't see this team being able to survive scoring 2 goals a game.
I totally agree with that. I do think they are getting looks, though, on certain occasions. And there's, you're looking at the third period in Calgary, and I'm trying to remember which period in Tampa Bay that they looked really good. Like, those are great periods. It just needs to go for a half game instead of just a period, knowing that it's going to be ebbs and flows. And you have to think that these guys are going to break out at some point. If not, I know we're going to talk about some other opportunities or other options out there.
Right.
Sure. Yeah, the Calgary game, to your point, Matt Casey, was probably one of the better games the Flyers have played all year. And like those 2-1 games, like I'm okay with, because we let up the 1 goal, we scored 2, we win. That's fantastic. It's those 3-4 games, those 5-2 games now that we're looking at with Boston, like where we're not getting the goal support because Martin Jones has a bad night. Carter Hart isn't, the godsend that we all have been seeing, at least for the majority of the season so far. Like, we're getting a much better Carter Hart this year, and that's fantastic, but we're lacking that offense where, that we need that. We do. Carter Hart's not going to be able to stop every single shot that comes his way. He'll stop a majority of them, but he won't stop every single shot. And we need to make sure that we're getting him that goal support, because otherwise we're wasting these performances from him. We have an opportunity with the play that he's giving us right now to win these games if we can score goals, and we're not doing that. So it's frustrating on my end. I'm sure your guys' end as well, seeing that happen, because with the piss poor season that he had last year, and now he's rebounded and played really well. It's like, where's the offense? It's all dried up. It's all kind of just null and void now because we can't get the offensive support.
Can I pose a question? I think this is the second time I've said this today. Can I pose a question?
You may pose the question, yes.
If we're talking about coaching,
so you actually have to pose.
If we're talking about coaching in terms of the power play, can we say the same thing in regards to the offense, that maybe there's something going on the coaching side of things that just isn't working? Yeah, I really don't know. So that's why I don't want to be a part of this conversation as much as just to talk about what you guys have to say. But I'm really curious.
Just pull the pin, throw it, and run.
Yeah,
right. I'm just really curious, because I think if we're going to talk about the coaching side of the power play and its lack of execution, shouldn't we be doing the same thing with the 5-on-5 offense? Derek,
we don't have
go.
center depth. We don't have the center depth right now. Like, Derek Brassard's our 2C. Our wingers aren't complementing the centers well because we don't have the centers that are supposed to be where they're at. And again, we'll get into the Hayes discussion here along with Ellis in a little bit, but we're also not getting the contributions from our wingers. Joel Farabee should be putting up.
Take it off, John.
Cam Atkinson, not going to say necessarily it's
Matt
dried
Geo
up.
shirt.
National Sarcastic Society.
Creative.
Like, we
Very
need your
creative.
support.
Awesome. I'm glad you did that right when I was trying to make a serious point, but
I can be distracting. Hey, listen, we want to get the view. Somebody told me you have to take your top off.
Oh, we're up to 1 viewer instead of 0. Great job, Sean. You're doing great. Oh,
Butch, just join the live stream.
But I can't even remember where I was going with that. The winger play, we're not getting winger play because we don't have the playmaking centers driving that play. So it's a trickle effect where you're seeing just a lack of effectiveness from the centers that trickles to the wingers. And that's honestly, I think you're looking at a guy like JVR who's not playing with the right guys. You're looking at a guy like Farabee who should be playing up the lineup instead of on the third line with Lindblom and Walton. I think it was what it was the other night. No, they need to be put into positions to succeed. We've talked about it with Konechny in years past. Put them with superior line mates and you'll see results. And we have, and then we haven't, and then we have again. But that's Konechny all on its own. It's an enigma. But I think that's where the problem lies.
Do you guys think Coots is playing like the Coots we know? I wrote about this in the High and Wide preview.
Not.
I just don't. I see flashes of it here and there, but I don't see it.
I'm gonna make sure we. How does that work? I'm trying to hit the thing here. Keep it up, boys. More skin equals more views. You're welcome.
Why do we encourage this?
I don't even know what you said,
like
Casey. I'm sorry, buddy.
Couturier.
Couturier.
What's the deal with
Couturier that we know.
Say that again, Hoagie.
Couturier is not playing like the Couturier that we know.
Do you think he's hurt?
No.
I want to lean that way. I want to say he's hurt, but he's playing through it because who the hell we don't put at 1C right now?
Right,
Giroux?
This guy. I'll play 1C. Why not?
I mean, you joke about that, Hoagie, but realistically, is putting Giroux back at 2 or 3C the most ridiculous?
Absolutely not.
If we end up, let's say this week goes to shit and we have, damn, I cursed.
Sorry,
let's say
that's a good one.
Goes to crap.
It happens.
And we have to juggle lines. I'm hoping that we juggle lines going into Tampa Bay, but I think I think Giroux has to be a viable option at one of the center positions if things don't ramp up.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it in the offseason, but is it really a bad idea to put Giroux in the center spot? We all said no. I mean, he's played it. He's better on the wing. He was a wing in juniors or whatever. He came into the league as a wing, so that's what he knows best. But I mean, he can play center. His face-off is his percentage is great. It was beating Bergeron last week before we went into the Bruins game this week. So I mean, why not put him there? He definitely can win you some face-offs, except for the one against Bergeron where they screwed us in the third period.
What the hell was that, man?
Oh my God.
I will say it was fun watching fired up Giroux, though. Like he's such a hothead. It's great.
Oh, he's such a hot-headed ginger. You'd love to see it.
Oh yeah.
His face matches the sweater. It's great.
I'm cool with Giroux at center. Like I was a big proponent of not putting him at center. I'm okay with it as long as it's temporary. Like I don't want this as a long-term resolution because he is better on the wing and we've seen it. Like that's where he had his 102-point season. Like keep him there. And yes, we are far removed from that. I understand. You know, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that he's going to put up 100 points again like some guys will. But no, I think put him there for a little bit. It seems at least. I mean, I know AV's been vague about Ellis, and I don't know what's going on with Hayes. If it's a short-term thing with Hayes, sure, put him in for a couple games, see what happens. If you can spread the love and bring up some depth with the wingers, you know, and that bumps some of the wingers up the lineup. So why not?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. These comments, we're not used to these, but yo, Hogue is a bum. I like this guy. Hogue's hater 74. I love it.
Dude, tell your wife to tune out.
Yeah, right. Anyway, I think we should kind of flip the script to the injuries, right? Because if the Kevin Hayes thing is more than like a few games, we've got to do something. Sure. You know, I mean, we can't keep going with the same cast of characters. And I think the first thing you have to do is you have to give Morgan Frost a shot. This is the chance, right? You know what you're getting with the centers that you have in Brassard and Lawton and all these guys. You throw Frost in there, you go, here it is. Here's your shot. Here's your opportunity. See what he does with it. If he doesn't, you know, rise to the opportunity, then you start doing the Giroux thing or trade market. Like we have like no salary cap. I don't know what the hell we're gonna do there.
We have $1 million and 130.
But yeah, I mean, if Hayes is out long, this team is gonna have to start getting creative because the current center depth just it's not gonna work.
So let's pose this then. If Hayes is hurt and it's like a nagging injury, like it somewhat seems at this point, why not put him on long-term injured reserve, use that cap space, because that's $7 million right there, and go after Hurdle or somebody else. I'm not
make sure JVR is a part of that package. Free up another $7 million.
That ain't gonna happen.
No. I mean, we had to give up how many picks just to get rid of Ghost? Like, come on,
right?
But like, think about it, because if you use that cap space, Hurdle's well under $7 million. We can afford that. He's a rental player. We have him for 1 year.
I think he's at 5 if I heard right.
Yeah, so we'd still have $2 million to play with. Maybe we get another depth defenseman. I don't know, because Lord knows how long Ellis is out. But
Derek's like,
I know it's like that GIF. Like I am experiencing
the numbers
that GIF right now. It's just
the numbers are all around your head.
Hayes at 7, and then you have Hurdle at 5, and okay, 2. I mean, I really hope that that's not the case though with Hayes, right?
But think about it. If
it's not going to be good.
Playoffs, we bring him back, and it's like what Tampa did last year with Kucherov. That's a big if.
Right.
But could be fun.
I think, John, I think you're like, there's no way this is good news. You don't get test results in 48 to 72 hours and be like, oh, this will probably be good.
Right.
Like, you know, there's obviously something going on and who knows what it is. But like, I'm frustrated because I think both he and Ellis were probably rushed back. And like, that's make Hogues do math. I love it.
Derek was the one challenged there.
So yeah, I mean, I think that the comments are really distracting now that I think about it. I mean, it's like ADD theater in here. So I think if Hayes' injury or whatever it is, like it's not going to be like a quick thing. Like you don't miss a couple games and have test results and stuff if it's just like a light day-to-day thing. So
Sure.
I don't know, totally speculating, but I don't think he's coming back for a month. I bet we have to weather this brutal December without him.
Right. I mean, and so this is the time you do some call-ups. This is the time you bring up Frost.
Yep.
And in terms of Ellis, you bring up York, you bring up Zamula. Like, you know what you have in Sealer. He's not going to just all of a sudden turn into Victor Hedman. Like, you've got that as your safety net. But if he's out of the lineup, it also is going to be a drastic change and a drastic difference. So you throw in these young players and see if lightning strikes. Because
you mean to tell me Steeler isn't going to be like a stud?
Yeah, sorry to break it to you, buddy.
Oh, dude.
Drop him from your fantasy team.
But yeah, I mean, both
fantasy team can take that hit.
Both on center and defense, you have obvious names to call up right now. Right? It's not a reach. I don't think anybody would be shocked if a name like Frost, York, or Zamula was all of a sudden on the Flyers.
I think we have to do it too, because again, I don't want to keep going back to the schedule that we have coming up, but it's like we have 4 games this week, including a back-to-back. The next week we have back-to-back Islanders Rangers, which obviously isn't a ton of travel, but that's 2 division games that like you got to come away with ideally at least 3 out of 4 points there.
Right.
And then that following week is the most laughable scheduling week I've ever seen. It's back-to-back, day off, game, day off, back-to-back. And I think we end it with Arizona, which is the only thing I was like, all right, at least we end up with Arizona. But watch, we're the slump buster again. I guarantee, like, we're, 5 games in 7 nights again, and we end against
Arizona.
Arizona.
Check on the road trip.
That's brutal. That's brutal. So, like, I think you're going to need to have some fresh blood in there. And, the scoring's gone cold. You got to bring up Frost, man. Like, hey, you like that? You like that?
That was
So
good.
yeah, let's talk about that then real quick, because bringing up Frost does seem like a viable option. Like, what do you think, Hoagie?
Where do you slot him in? Do you put him in? I hate you guys.
Sorry,
do you put him?
Come on, bum, talk.
Do you put him in on the second line for Hayes, or do you put Giroux in that second spot and let Frost kind of take less minutes on the third line? I mean, he's obviously the viable option because he's right there in Lehigh Valley. We can bring him up. He's playing pretty well right now as of this week with Lehigh Valley, right, John?
Well, yeah. I mean,
He's
considering the
posted some
team
points.
sucks.
Yeah, but he's posted some points and
Right,
some goals,
for sure.
so
Yep.
it helps. So why not bring him up? When he's hot, he's hot. So play him.
Yeah. No, I mean, we saw it when they first brought him up. It was like almost a hybrid 1C, 2C type thing where he didn't take faceoffs. They sheltered him a little bit. I don't want that to happen again. Like, I want to see full-fledged,
to the Wolves.
play the role,
Right.
Play the role that you're put into.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think you keep the second line. The second line, I don't think is playing bad. You have it's Brassard, Giroux, and Atkinson. Is that right?
Yes.
I don't think you touch that line. I think you put him in at 3C and move either Lawton to the wing or to 4C and sit Thompson maybe. I don't know, but like I think you do kind of put him in that 3C role. And if he plays his way up, he plays his way up. We all know we want to be 2C, but it doesn't mean he has to, like, I'm looking back at Farabee's call up. I'm looking back even at Giroux. Giroux didn't start his first full year with the Flyers either. Like he started with the Phantoms and he get called up, and he was a 3C for a little bit. So, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world, but I think we do have to look at that option first before we go off after any sort of external,
any fantasy trade right there.
Right.
No, for sure. Agreed. I think we
I
need
heard
to
somebody
see
say
what Morgan Frost can
Tarasenko
do.
again. I'm like, God, how? What?
Also, not a center.
Right. That doesn't help us.
Like, great.
Yeah. I think Frost would be a great option. I think we got to see it at some point. Like, we've got to see him with an elongated stretch of games to really judge what we have in this guy. And this season could be it. This season could be a great season to see, given what's going on with Hayes. If he plays well, it buys Hayes time to recover fully, as opposed to what it felt like him being rushed back into action. So, I'm on board with it. I'm not going to have the high hopes like I did, a year or two ago when everybody's clamoring for him, but it's something, it's something at this point that might be able to give these guys a kick in the pants and get the offense rolling.
Well, and to piggyback off what Casey said, take advantage of the fact that Brassard is playing beyond our expectations right now, because everybody's waiting for that shoe to fall, right? I mean, and for him to come back to reality. So take advantage of the fact that he is being a viable 2C option for now to give Frost that time.
Right.
For sure. Absolutely. You use it. Just use it, because if he's going to keep playing that way, ride him. Ride him as long as you can until the offense dries up. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Nope.
No.
Gonna ride him until it dries up. Yep, that's about it.
All right. Well,
that's all we need to say.
It was great having a live feed with everyone. And
this is our first and only. But we want to stick with the injury story here. Ryan Ellis, back for what, one game? Again, we knew there were issues. I'm assuming most of us knew, at least the people that follow the team. What? I'm speechless at this point. I really don't know what to say. Again, is this another case of them rushing him up and rushing him back into action? Is this just a nagging injury that 100%. Won't go away? Yeah, that's the consensus here.
I don't think there's any way to not see that. If he gets hurt in his first game back, that means he wasn't ready to come back.
Right.
And it's clearly, I've heard groin, I've heard hip, I've heard, whatever it is. And that's a nagging injury. And what's really going to be a kick in the nuts is if we find out in 3 weeks, it's like, oh, we do have to do surgery. It's like, oh,
right.
Damn. And so I'm hoping that it can get done through physical therapy or whatever they do. But I mean, this isn't one of those things where he's going to wake up tomorrow the kid from Mighty Ducks and be like, oh my God, my wrist isn't broken anymore.
Adam Banks is back. Oh my God.
Adam Banks. Yeah. So it's noted. He's going to be gone. I think the realistic timeline is we get him back probably for that West Coast trip after Christmas, and you ease him in for a month, and then you have a 3-week Olympic break basically. And so it's I think that's probably the realistic option. That's not ideal, but again, I will say that the one positive out of this is that Ristolainen and Sanheim, I think, have looked a hell of a lot better in the last 2 weeks than everybody was freaking out about in the first 2 weeks.
For sure.
I mean, and to me, what this is a case of? It's Chuck Fletcher and whoever else is making these decisions not wanting the person that they just traded to be the top pairing defenseman alongside Ivan Provorov to be out for such a long time at the beginning of his first season, where they're like, oh, you're okay? Okay, good, because we got to get you back in there because you are our prized possession in the offseason.
Have you heard of Nolan Patrick? We traded him.
Nolan,
you haven't?
Who's that guy? Nolan what?
Poland?
I'm more curious on what this team does with its defensive pairs if you bring up a guy like York or Zamora.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're putting them with Yandel?
No.
And I don't want to break up Ristolainen and Sanheim. So it's like...
And Braun's played well. So it's like it has to go somewhere on that third line. So I don't know.
And
Braun's not a top pairing guy.
Who is...
Braun's winning the Norris this year, boys.
Shut up, Hoagie.
Not if he keeps tipping pucks in the Bruins net.
Right.
Oh,
I mean, that's the biggest problem, right? I don't really see a compliment to a young player who's going to be coming up. I mean, do you put Yandel on the top pairing with Provorov?
Absolutely not.
Okay. So do you put Ristolainen and then put Yandel with Sanheim? Hoagie is never correct. I'm not even going to put that one up.
I'll put it up just
Yes.
for reference. I told them to say this just so he felt better.
Oh, here we
You're
go.
wrong.
We've got a suggestion. Braun, York, or Zamula could be tasty.
I think Braun's the only one that you
It's the only
can pair
one
with
that,
them.
yeah.
And
The
so,
only one
like,
that I would want to put.
yeah, it's not ideal, but I think realistically, I kind of want to see what Provorov and Ristolainen would look like. But just
Yes.
yeah, give it a shot. You know,
Give it a
we want this Sanheim thing to work, but like, what if Provorov and Ristolainen are the pair? Like, what if they become the absolute all-star pair? And then what, you put Sanheim with who?
I'd almost put him with. I'd like to kind of see, because I thought that they played well together last year in like the short sample size that they had. Him and Zamula,
Yeah.
but it leaves York out, and I mean,
but you're gonna pick one or the other. I
They
don't
can't all
really
be
care which
winners,
one.
right?
sure,
Right.
At that point, it's like, what do you got? You know, I'd
Could you
take if
see-
Zamula pairs better. I'm taking Zamula.
Could you see a situation, and I'm not at all suggesting this, but where they would go, actually, you know what? We're going to take Yandel out and we're going to keep Sealer in with the younger guy?
Not until January 20th. I don't think they'll do it.
Yeah.
Like,
So he gets that record.
True. I forgot about that. Yeah.
unless, all right, I'll preface this. Unless we go on if we lose every game this week, yeah, I think then all bets are off. And like, sorry, man, like,
Right.
I don't care about a freaking Iron Man streak. Like, I
Right.
don't give a crap.
Then AV goes down
that's
as the
for
coach
media.
that prohibited him from doing it, and then he's the bad guy again.
What a dinosaur! What a total dinosaur!
The Willy Wonka of the Benzo Willy Wonka.
Oh, boy.
Jesus.
AKA John's neighbor.
Oh, we can't do it live, but we could do it on a recorded episode a couple weeks ago. Sorry, guys. Jesus. No, I'm definitely concerned with the whole Ellis situation, and I mean, you saw it in the one game back. Like, his vision on the power play is second to none on this team right now. He knows how to find the lanes. He knows where to go with the puck. He honestly, I think, is the missing piece to the power play.
Mhm.
If we can get a guy that can run the point like Ellis can, fantastic. Last guy we had that could do that, Shane Gostisbehere. He's
Yeah,
not
but
here
he
anymore.
couldn't hit the net though. Like, I think there's like another difference there where like
Right.
I think
That's why
Gostisbehere
JVR was there to clean it up, though.
JVR's still
I'm
there.
just kidding. Yeah,
Right.
no,
He's,
but it's
I mean, JVR's cleaning stuff up like an armless janitor right now. So
Jesus Christ.
sorry. Did that take it too far?
He's
Like
the
an
he's the
armor
one that JVR is the one that I'm sorry. Like we need him to get going
Uh-huh.
this week. Like enough's
sure.
enough, man. Like
We need to get him going 2 weeks ago.
right.
From the beginning of the season.
Right.
Start tipping those pucks, champ. We need some goals.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
his
he's
hand-eye
literally good at
coordination's like
one
second to
thing.
none.
Like
You do one thing, the tip pucks,
Just-
and you're not doing it.
tip pucks.
Well, he can't
It's like a
tip pucks
kicker
when
in
the
football.
defense can't even get the puck to him on the power play. Like, come on. Not even taking the shots.
Say that again, Hoagie.
Can we save comments just so we can keep going back to that one?
Screenshot.
I want to meet this person, Hoags Hater 74.
It's Johnny.
Seems like
come
a
on.
great guy.
Is it Johnny?
It's Johnny.
It's gotta be. It's Johnny.
Love it. Love it.
We'll get a comment here in about 30 seconds. No. Like the Wizard of Oz, like, ignore the man behind the curtain. All right. Well, if we're done with serious talk here, Hoagie.
The week ahead.
Yeah, we
the
got
week ahead.
Yeah,
Man,
we're
I'm
gonna
so
talk about
glad
the
I've got
week
you guys to keep me straight here. Let's look ahead to the week ahead and break down these 4 games that the Flyers have. It's going to be a rough stretch, guys. It's going to be a very rough stretch. Tampa Tuesday, and then Florida the very next night. Carolina on Friday, Jersey on Sunday. If we don't beat Jersey, I'm going to be pissed. I'm going to be really upset. Really upset.
Jersey just beat Tampa, man.
I don't care. I don't care about New Jersey.
And we took
and
Tampa to a shootout.
Bluefoots. I don't care. But if he does it to someone on the Flyers, I'll fight him. I'm going to fight him. You heard it here first.
Black Friday game, though.
I'm gonna lose. Oh, Black Friday game. I'm gonna be at work.
Not against the Devils, but against Carolina.
What a
Good
delightful 3-game stretch we have coming up. Tampa Bay,
Right.
Florida, and then Carolina.
Right. Who'd have thought that the hockey hotbed, right? Carolina and the Floridas, right, would be the
That's the
teams,
heat map right there.
the teams that we were cringing over. What is
If
happening?
you like Bojangles, then you're going to love hockey. Here we go.
Side note, I love Bojangles. Their French fries or their potato wedges, whatever the hell. So good.
I mean,
I
this
miss
is where the beginning of the season could start going off the rails, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I
That's where we
think I
get it
said
back
that,
together.
huh?
It's where we could get it back together, though.
You're right.
Come on, John.
You're right. You're right. I mean, but I would not be shocked if we go these 3 games without a point.
There's 4 games.
No, I know, but I'm talking
He's talking
about
about
Tampa, Florida, and
Tampa,
Carolina.
Oh.
Yeah,
Thank you
because
for
those are the ones that stand out to me. Whatever with New Jersey, I'll worry about New Jersey when we get there. But these 3 games are just going to be like a punch in the old,
Got
you
it.
know,
The bean
yeah,
bag.
that. Mm-hmm.
The speed bag.
I
It's
feel
like
like
Fairbury taking a punch to the face last night.
we're going to give Tampa Bay a good run, whether we win or not. I still think it's going to be a close one that maybe we at least grab a point. That Florida game scares the freaking bejesus out of me. I mean, they like have barely lost at home, and then Carolina coming off a tryptophan, complete nap time.
Well, most of the team is Canadian or something else, so maybe we don't have to worry about it.
That's true.
Canadian Thanksgiving's come and gone.
Yeah, they're like,
Yeah.
wait, you guys landed on a rock and you're celebrating? What we shoot pucks now? Come on. But I don't know. I think that Florida game on Wednesday night is gonna be tough. So
Against the Florida Nollas.
yeah, and the beauty is like
Florida
for
Nolans.
the best team in the league, they can't get like 10,000 people into that.
No.
arena. It's so
Right.
sad.
Such a waste of a talented team.
Mhm.
Right. I mean, the only people who show up to those games are the ones who are rooting for the other team.
Right?
Right. We moved down here to get away from our kids.
It's all Boston, New Yorkers, and Philadelphia.
Oh yeah.
Right.
I mean, how often do you see it too? The past 2 or 3 years ago, it was literally droves of Flyers fans in Florida's arena, like rooting for the Flyers. It was like a home game for the Flyers.
Right.
It's like when
You
I
know
go
what I
to
always
Camden
wondered?
Yards and the Yankees are in town. Like I hate it. I absolutely hate it.
You know what I always wondered? Why do they get to be the Florida Panthers, but Tampa Bay has to just be Tampa Bay? Like, why do they get the whole state? That just doesn't seem fair to me. Why can't they be the Miami Nollas?
Well,
There was a coin
technically
flip
they're-
at some point.
yeah, they're in Sunrise, which is basically Lauderdale. And so that's a good 45, 50 minutes from Miami. And so I think they're just like, we can't be the South Florida Panthers. We're not going to be.
Why not be the Fort Lauderdale Panthers?
It just doesn't sound sexy.
The Sunrise
way
Panthers.
too hard.
I mean, Florida's a big state. I don't think it's fair that Tampa just gets Tampa Bay and then the freaking Panthers get the rest of the state.
Are you really pissed off about Tampa sports right now? Oh, they've had such a tough go.
Right.
Look at New York, the Rangers,
It's more the opposite.
Islanders.
All New York's.
and then there's
But-
Buffalo.
Most people would argue that that's not really New York, though. So,
They're like that's just all on its
Right.
own.
right.
The
It's like
Rangers and
you
Islanders are
you
like,
drive there
no.
like, holy crap, did I reach purgatory? Anyway, so we've bashed Sunrise, Florida, and Buffalo. Maybe we should go now.
It's
Beautiful
true.
places.
Do we have
Beautiful
any-
places.
Do we want to put any predictions on next week at all? Is it even worth it at this point?
2
It'll be
points.
a rough week.
Going 3 points.
3 points for
Going
me.
four.
Yep.
4 points.
4.
You
Just
heard it
wanna
here
say-
first.
Once again, John had a great point.
Yes. Please toot your own horn a little bit more, John.
Right. I actually
thanks.
got the account. The flyer, this high and wide account. I'm sitting on.
I can't wait to employ my wife to do this. Be like, hey, every time I make a good point, be like, oh my god, Derek's a genius.
She would
I'm
never
gonna
do that.
flash that up there. She
See, I
wouldn't.
wish my wife would do that, but that's Hogs Hater 74.
All right, dad
Okay,
joke.
Hoagie.
That's
Hit him with the dad joke, Hoagie.
in honor of Thanksgiving being this week, what's the difference between a sweet potato fresh out of the oven and a pig thrown off a balcony?
What?
One is a heated yam, and the other is a yeeted ham.
I'm gonna take that comment down because that's kind of funny.
Casey just crushed the rest of his Sauvignon Blanc.
I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like this segment.
Yeah, the segment or the wine?
Both.
I hated every second of that dad joke.
You're welcome,
Who had
Johnny.
that teed up? Someone had that teed up ready to go.
We're all now dumber for having to listen to what you have just said.
Oh, I love the Billy Madison reference. Love the Billy Madison reference. All right. Well, that's been our 55-minute, almost 56-minute discussion on what went wrong this past week. Hoagie, if you would like to find listeners and viewers right now, know where they can find you.
You can find me at Pod Street Hogs. Also follow Hogs Hater 74 for all of my retweets for dumb takes.
Smooth, Hoagie.
Solid.
Smooth.
Very smooth.
You bum.
Matt Casey.
Pod Street Casey. Street is spelled out Casey. I love you all.
Do you have that typed out? Like, I gotta know. Like Beethoven right now.
No, it's a Truman Show. It's a Truman Show reference.
I mean, come on. Typical Derek to go into his classics.
Blame me for having a superb taste in music.
Sure.
I'll shut up. Your turn, John. You go ahead.
Derek's like working out.
Nothing gets the juices flowing like some Beethoven early in the morning.
Right. So, anyway, you can find us on all your various podcasting listening receptacles, as well as now you can find our beautiful faces and hoagies on streaming on Twitter and YouTube and wherever else this thing happens to be right now. I'm not really sure if it showed up anywhere else.
This is definitely
But,
a Pod Muncher.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Pretty soon we're going to get that sponsor right up in the corner, Pod Muncher. Anyway, if you're not happy listening to it on what you're listening to, then Google something else to listen to. Oh, and rate and review us. Thank you.
There you go. Oh, didn't think that was going to show up under the entire PSB account there. Anyways, you can find me on Twitter at Pod Street Bob. You can find John on Twitter at Pod Street Go. You can find the Pod Street Bullies, all four of us schmucks on Twitter at Pod ST Bullies. Now that everybody's got the account, you'll know who's tweeting because everyone hates when Hoagie tweets from the account.
I'm still the favorite. I don't get it.
I don't get it either, man. I don't. You know,
Sympathy.
I guess it's I've garnered following, I guess, if you will. But
Just say
no,
goodbye, Derek. Just say goodbye.
shut the hell up. Anyways, I'll leave you guys as I've always left you, I guess, with Let's Go Flyers.
Bye now.